Missing me what proof. I have all the videos of the Chinese people. What are you talking about? My court to crack can I know radio so I've gone to court and stated it clearly. Why are you afraid?
Kwabna, a boka, boka. I'm trying to where she come cook tree.
Case number 225. I was not for the year 2021 and a year one Kennedy a compare con Agyapong and Anas Aremeyaw Anas issue ebeda a back and forth from Coco to Ghana Hani Butia Anas Mentia say no they call US New Jersey abontenso so no so a ho no they kwakodan America for say and some air course na Ghana for edino you know happy too much into your bedan omo no mu ni asem no ne ehwe se ne ebeko na de kofa ba ye nyina ne se eye papa samo po de mamen famon kwa chiri kakra mo beka ya emra Anas ye GFA expose ma ewra kwasi nyantachi ye yi no efi akonwa so ne ade no ye papa Kennedy Agyapong ebe ye video bia ono so de ba say who watches the watchman eno de ma ye papa Kennedy Agyapong ekopie mu America abonten so na mo amunim papa ye friend no Daddy Fred our Daddy Fred show Fred ye papa Kennedy Agyapong live no bisa ne say yes untimi ma America na eba ne say no watimi abipia eno de dim ema okobisa yewura Kennedy Agyapong say eba ne say na boni bia bekoso Ghana no na wo ne yedi susu enam say amedie one hour kan say omuhia no premises bia yemmo no
Boy, why are very dangerous. What in Madina haya? We share maybe a papa na so or buy your premises abia me say me muno ni ababa bia metia because a bad sa Ahmed no mo show mo pictures no ne yanwe somebody picture nkyere mo nyina mo so what in Madina yes ayini boy no Ahmed no woni we a friend Ahmed the picture back wo mo fan to so na nyakesi ga good the picture back what in Madina haya what bad premises abia muno.
So as you can see rolling on the screen,
this is a boy. Or a bad boy.
You baby biano, obe solve it. And no nti na ma abone ne baaye no, ema ye di esusu anase unim hu bi. Na nchiremu a ye papa Kennedy Agyapong e de maaye no enie.
The young man for one say adentina as a din or mobile because he say we share Ahmed Swale Ewona. The man for bolding. David Ankwaso a man for bolding. And young kwaso na we MP. Young kwaso na Ghana. I didn't know Dino be able.
Yeah, because I always fight for the right things to be done in the country. A lot of politicians women yet truthful themselves. Therefore, women slow crass and look at the home back. Me opa fami kosruba. Unim was in Biaka. Be bia ufu say secret miaka sama Canada.
Eno no to aso ema ye papa Kennedy Agyapong e kan say Anas eye kronfo na Oyemedra ameswali wu no ono ankasa enim ho ebi e na afi nso Chinese for akunkon mo ene ade ema Daddy Fred ebisa say eno no ansem na all kan no evidence na o kire mu say yes or evidence
a criminal like that na we nipa ono Anas akunkum Chinese for akumu na me call court me kai.
And no, you need proof until honor your for honor and Tony.
Me want proof when I catch you, please. I have
fast proof for no police for honor your fan so cry. Yeah, but honor your interest until honor your inside.
Crash it. I think, Mr. Me what proof? I have all the videos of the Chinese people. What are you talking about? My court to crack can I know radio so I've gone to court and stated it clearly. Why are you afraid? Why?
It is some way Uncle Anas Square say ye papa no edifemu no nti ono so de nasem ekodan court e New Jersey che say ye papa na friend say oye kronfo oye widini e na afie nso amasuare ni wo onim hu bi e na ode nasem ekodan court anu ya na New Jersey court omotena ye papa Kennedy ene Anas ensem no so na momyehwe se de ye court so e wo court wo
in our initial finding, we awarded $18 million and a breakdown, presuming $5 million, actual $5 million, and punitive $8 million. With your verdict and your note, your jury service in this case is complete. I truly have enjoyed working with you. You've been an attentive jury. Thank you so much for your service. You are discharged.
Judge, the defendant would like to thank the jury for their service.
No. Get out while you can. Thank you so much. Everyone appreciates your service. Okay, so the court's decision, if we start at the end, the court is denying the request for mistrial, and everyone can file motions at the appropriate time, and the court will address everything after the motions are filed appropriately and then responded appropriately. Does anyone have any questions about anything? No. Thank you. Okay. Good luck to everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming off the record.
Enti emra court transem no so no de ekosi ya ne say yese Anas na win case no enti ye papa Kennedy Agyapong entua $80 million emfama Anas
Kwabna ya boka them try where sikam kotua we can't continue
ya boka gu ampa ye papa say ya boka gu na 80 million enye ska ketua wo
can't continue. Can't.
Okay.
That's unfortunate.
Ya boka gu ampa enti sika we any ska ye papa Kennedy Agyapong say utua edema Anas na ye bisasa so sika we ye papa betua edema Anas onkutua. And mind you, we in Ghana court, we America court.
One of the highest legal thresholds in the world. That the jury ruled 8-0 in my favor on every count is a testament to the fact that Mr. Agyapong acted with reckless disregard. Regrettably, Ghana's justice system has not always lived up to the principles of fairness and impartiality. When I sued Mr. Agyapong in 2018, despite his inability to legally substantiate his allegations, the court ruled against me, with Justice Barr scandalously branding me a terrorist instead of adjudicating the facts before him. This miscarriage of justice was later condemned by Supreme Court Justice Kolende, who rightly described it as a violent abuse of judicial authority. My fight has never been for personal gain, but for the soul of Ghana's democracy. This victory in the US sends a powerful message. The media cannot be silenced, truth cannot be buried, and those who wield power must be held accountable. Let this moment be a wake-up call to all who seek to erode the foundations of justice in Ghana. Let it remind us that democracy is not just about elections, but institutions that uphold the truth, courts that deliver justice without fear or favor, and citizens who refuse to accept corruption as the norm.
The same way by na Kevin Taylor so with all due respect the akoso one ye papa Kennedy Agyapong tem Emma no so edin chichemu kakra by na otoa so efre one of Anas ne lawyers no Emma no so e can say mood.
All right, welcome back to the show. You're still watching with audio for extended version. We have Anas lawyer, one of his representatives or his counsels, Evans Selassie Adeka. He's on the line to speak to us on this very matter. Good evening, lawyer.
Good evening, Kevin.
Thank you very much. My first question to you is a very difficult one. You speak English. You speak from your name, Selassie. You speak ever like me, Melakope. Do you speak the Akan language?
Yes, please. I speak.
Good.
Tree. Yeah.
It makes it easy for you and easy for me too. Good evening and welcome back to the show. Today, we got news that Aremeyaw Anas, or a Ghanaian or investigative journalist, his work over the years he has gone through a lot of court appearances, Menkanisa, in Ghana and also in the United States. And the Abetin say a year Canadian Japan or your former MP a few years ago announced the investigative piece by na efa football home GFA, and at the end of the day, Nyoma Bibrisi, one of his colleagues or any investigations near the day, Ahmed Swale, FMU, Ehre. After that, series of Nyama Esi, a lot of information about out from Kennedy Japan, and a lot of allegations that were made against Anas. Say it wouldn't crumple Ahmed Swale, at a point Kennedy was insinuating on radio and on TV, say Anas Nimhubi. A lot of things were said by Canadian Japan. He even went further to have a whole documentary session at his premises. Or Tunidin, who watches The Watchman, Obo video, trying to create the impression that whatever Anas put out initially as the original documentary, he has the original tapes that were hidden and all that. Now, fast forward, Aremeyaw felt to say there was a lot of allegations made. He thought he needed to clean himself because of the reputation he carries and also his work or ended up in New Jersey in a court. To make it easy for us, we are one of the lawyers for Anas, and I want to state again, Udini Evans Selassie Adika, a renowned lawyer. Bepacho, can you run us through how it started and how we got to know today, say, a judgment in the New Jersey court? Abba.
Okay, Mr. P. The interesting thing is, I quite remember that you were sued in the U.S. sometime in 2021.
Yes. And
that actually caused my clients to begin inquiring about possibly if there's if there was anything out there, whether it will be actionable in the U.S. So you have some significance to today's events. So shortly after, when you were going through your motion to dismiss, we actually took a keen interest in that case and reviewed all the pleadings. And during that time also, my client informed me of a video that was circulating on social media. I just say, "Yeah, papa no, and someone just like what kind about my client." So, like, as the intellectuals that we are, we started opening the books and try to see where we can lay a claim. It's interesting enough. I mean, after reviewing the video, in our training, there's something that we are taught. Say, in your case, it has to pass the test, and the case has to stand on all fours, which means that you do an analysis of whether there's jurisdiction in place, whether you have all the elements of each claim that you want to bring, So we went through all of that, and my conclusion was yes, on the basis of video now, my client is send them, you tweet back court New Jersey, as I say, yeah, papa no video no so yeah, papa na and the moon some say or kase free fee New Jersey. Now when you say you move for so the diaspora is very important. Obviously, what you do is testament to that fact. And there was an audience that he spoke to. We're Ghana for. They all take a keen interest in the happenings in Ghana, especially the politics in Ghana. So we thought, there was solid grounds for us to be in the court in New Jersey. So I advised my clients accordingly. Now, when you say you're a lawyer. So obviously, he was an integral part of what was going on in the preparatory stage. At that time, I am a U.S. trained lawyer, but I currently only practice in Ghana. And there was a team of us. I'd like to say congratulations to my learned colleague Oded Crow. He was a part of yes, he was counsel of record in Ghana. So I pulled him into the research, and we drafted a complaint. And like Mekai a lawyer, so we did the work, and he actually filed it himself. So after the preliminary back and forth, initially the case was We sued in 2022.
Okay. Yes.
We filed suit
that's what I'm
sometime,
seeing.
I think.
The complaint.
Yeah, sometime, I think, in the summer of 2022.
May 17th, 2022.
Yes. And you know, by law, no, there was a period by which Papa no Anka was or responded with what is known as an answer. But so Papa no one filed a response, and my case no call into default. Now, after a period of default, you can actually go for judgment. Now, a case near Fale, we filed on 3 counts. But I couldn't say a chrome or a chrome 4. The second one was or you would in terms of Onuna or behind the medal of Yenuya Ahmed Swale.
Yeah.
Now, the third one, so say Yenuya no a serial killer in terms of Woku Chinese for Bibi Ghana. And then the fourth one is or a criminal, the blanket word criminal. And then the fifth one by implication, or say, Onunu behind Woody Sembiana, that means say, Abiana, no, a trigger man, and also, no, will be second, and I say, perform the physical act that led to the foreseeable events, which is Obi a. So we also included a count that he is that he claims that my client, or a co-conspirator in multiple serial killings. So that was basically the gravamen of our complaint. And when it went on undefended after the response time, now we began to make preparations to move for judgment. But being that I was in Ghana and we are all based in Ghana, we reached within our network and we partnered with 2 brilliant lawyers who I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate. Okay. Atawemega Esquire, he was the father figure of the team of lawyers, and a brilliant trial lawyer by the name of Andrew Dehere. These are all brilliant Ghanaian lawyers on this case. And, at that point, we recruited them as counsel of record. And, the case went, at that point, Kennedy's lawyers came in, obviously, because near Beji judgment for the full $30 million. And so he had counsel, and counsel came and also did his thing. Reopen default, they argued that they had a solid defense. And I think right around then, and I almost got judgments from Ghana, really see it. And I know so say defense to case I because New Jersey.
But Ghana, so case no
exactly.
In case. Okay.
So as defense against, but the interesting thing is that the defamation sits here say kind of the work for court. It's a separate case.
Yeah.
It's not to mean to Ghana and family defending way. You still have to prove the truth of it. And this time, in this jurisdiction, the law is the same essentially because Ghana but you sound so free other countries. There are certain times that even though of presidential value, I just said, judge into me so India, but to me the two na senior or the two more, especially in cases maybe you decided that type of a case. And Emrano is the same as Ghana. Procedurally, there are certain nuances. Sometimes in terms of certain dates, you have to do certain things by. And also in New Jersey, Emra drafted complaints. We were fully aware that we were required to prove what we were claiming by a higher standard than in Ghana.
Yeah.
Yes. In this case, not even that. In this case, we were required to prove our case not by the normal civil standard, but by a clear and convincing evidence standard.
Okay.
And they responded with that, and they were able to successfully reopen the default, which paved way for them to file an answer. And they filed an answer which essentially claimed that there was some sort of back and forth between him and Anas. And we took it for what it's worth, and we forged on. And we finally got our trial date sometime earlier this year, and it was postponed. And then we finally went to trial last Monday. We started trial on Monday, and we put up our case. My client testified. Papa no so back court, he testified. He brought other witnesses, and after listening to both sides, senior ni krumano. Answer na ever try case no. The difference between what happened with Ghana and see what say. No trial by jury. It's no any judge, or judge back one I say judge me, no one I say judge me and send a bidi asem. But normal people on the streets of New Jersey, tax-paying citizens, and two and from. In this case, we started off with veneer. That's the technical word for when the prospective jurors are brought in. We're from a veneer. The veneer of 60 citizens, tax-paying citizens of the state of New Jersey, specifically Newark, New Jersey, and its surroundings, were brought in, and after what is known as Boadaya, which is the process by which they are questioned to see if they have any sort of bias or anything that will stand
for Ghana for your vetiomo. Say bia.
Yeah, vetiomo. Yeah, vetiomo just said obi nim asem hu bia na so onimu bia asem we fan ho ana say obi wo hwa bia nyame bi osom no. So we went through all of that. That was day one. That took from Area to the end of the day. And so on Tuesday, we came to court and we had our opening statements. They had their opening statements. And then we proceeded to put on our evidence. And at the close of the evidence, the jury was instructed, Judge, in this case, Judge, Ometro Emrano. Na Omodiama, jury, no Ometro Omekin Kanachro first. So paper inside. Aquaco decide the different deliberations. Me but me sure say me okay. Okay. And some more about Thursday about 4:30. Yeah, the church room running now, and there are some more 4:30. Into now, I dream say we be an 4:30. No, caught a punk right around that time, which is I believe consistent with the practice in I know it's consistent with the practice in Ghana. Into no, I dream so. Be at Nana, take a deep breath and reflect on what has transpired during the past 4 days. And about 20 minutes later, we got word that the jury. So as part of the defense, I think it's only fair that Meka charges counts now at the buy and the civil claims now at the buy. His defense was also although Oka said it was some sort of just based banter between him and Uniano, he came to court and asserted truth as his defense. And so
time I court was say sa counting na mode bono no say on it and us back and forth, right? The on claim or make it. Or say banter, I just say we can't wait and share or no, they're not all can you say obi to be more almost tomorrow.
But all you do court media that was not
and your son of okay, Ura court no G2.
Yeah, be or maintaining the position say no can ordinate or down standing by no kind.
Okay.
Basically, I'm just so practice no crane D and on boni bia.
Okay.
So to support that, or the move you try or in it too, who watches a watchman. But the announced by as on only defense, and so the jury had the opportunity to evaluate that and factored that in the analysis. And obviously, it was not the weight that they wanted the jury to accord with. So jury never bugui. About 20 minutes later, the jury came back with a verdict, and there were a multiplicity of very quick. And there was a multiplicity of questions that were posed to the jury. That's the way how they arrived at the decision. It's and also unanimous. People who were picked off the streets of not picked off the streets of New Jersey, but they're to from based on address, voter registration data. And to But within 20 minutes, they saw through everything and said no. Papa no de no fast no enye kwampa emramu. So they came back and there was not even one juror that sided with Papa na sem come.
All against
8-0 on every count and on every question that was posed to the jury, including damages now about no be doing and also cry no there was a unanimous decision. I just say it was a solid decision of the jury. 20 minutes on take down said there was no doubt in our presentation to what you kind of lay people. These are not experts in the law.
Yeah, they are just
these are lay
people who just sat and used their common sense to come to a conclusion.
No. I would not say use that. I would not say use that common sense.
They listen to you and they listen to the other part. It makes sense though.
And then the law, the law is the law. No judge in this world has any power to bend the law. That sort of conduct is what causes strife and war in places.
Yeah.
America had the judge actually before the judge kind jury instruction, but catch jurors and say, "Oh no, only to be a and that's how it went. But you know what's interesting about Nisi and or a lawyer contrary, even though people don't give him credit for that.
At least Bonidina Anas asem na working.
But Anas, Anas. Or also a very astute lawyer, Onimumrapa, new beer, your dream. And some people will cry a car on Jim Tumu, but sometimes a team of legal team to we come to a compromise. Now, he has been adamant about clearing his name because I have a personal experience of understanding. It's one of the worst things that can happen to someone.
Yeah.
And he absolutely took the position there. He wanted a trial. He's not interested in any settlement. He's not here for the money. He's here to clear his good name that he has built over time. And in his profession, at this time, Anka also started doing one. So he always maintained that he wanted a trial to the point where sometimes there was a disagreement in the legal team. Now, procedurally, America, peace. Schedule say, and from this time to this time, staff that work out we are dedicating it to your case. It's no small matter.
I know. I've been there. It's not easy.
Before they will go to trial, there's mandatory settlement conference. I bet say maybe by this time we'll be say grow or they'll commit to the rights and senses and decide say this shouldn't go on because yes. And I acquire unfortunately me Anas disagreed with me, but I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million, just like the jury came back. As you know, these days we have all kind of tools that we can use to predict certain things.
Before you go ahead, this is where the contention is, and people saying 80 million, others saying a year 30 million. Now when you read,
well, we'll come to that. Let me clarify. Let me just clarify.
Yeah.
Okay, complaints near the coin. Yeah, claim for $30 million, $30 million.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And what I'm saying is that at before the mandatory settlement conference, before the jury is empaneled, even though my client had firmly informed me he had no intention of settling this case because he believes that he ought to go to a jury of his peers to clear his name. But maybe let's just prepare our settlement memorandum, be thorough and be reasonable.
Yeah.
And even though he protested, I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million. Okay. Now you do settlement conference, papa about court. Now the lawyers say what he was willing to settle this matter for, and they said $10,000. So honestly,
it's clarification is very, very important. Normally Ghana.
Okay.
Into Mukodru Hono. Anas initially you have kind of simple street language, and the damages are not paid around $30 million. And the
Yes.
client and Anas Kasai say a woman saw pay $30 million, and yes, he can all pay. In fact, he wants his name to be cleared, and then any priority of going to court.
Yes.
But because of the experience, now unim sibi anyo matiano, no client here and ask Kasai and say it will be better and to be reasonable to at least settle on $80 million. And okay, say okra no client and us no, you did not really agree, but because he respects you as his counsel and as a lawyer, no, you people ended up around that money, around that figure, which is $80 million.
Oh yes, and like I said, your lawyer at Aremeyaw, New York.
Oh, yeah.
And also come and Andrew D here.
Yeah, you are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. When my guy is there,
yes,
D here is there, Crow is there, yourself. Basically, as we are speaking to you, we are speaking to all of them because.
Yes. So the whole team agreed on that, but he was the only reluctant one in settling the matter. But procedurally, we couldn't go to trial without actually going through to the settlement conference.
Yes.
In spite of his reservations, we still almost cut our demand down to about a little over half.
Okay.
But to our surprise, you have a panel buyer and also no bit $10,000 to end the case.
No.
And I want to arbitrate and who said no, some way I'm sure so I can papers, So he said basically go and take your gamble in the courtroom. So that's how we ended up going to trial. So like to go back to how it ended, so at about 4:50 on Thursday. And the jury brought us in and they told us what unanimously what they had arrived at. But we decided to keep it under wraps because there was a component you multiply 18 million by 5 money do 90 million for a total of about.
That was the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah, because
to do that. Okay.
Yes. And then you decided to say about to with coming public with the finding of culpability on Thursday.
Yeah.
We ended up leaving that alone. A pursuit of ×5 because almost file emotions be I just say or see a two in terms of that and sana say one way or another I could pursue that ×5 and I say depending on what happens, maybe I between German and Cafe. But at this time, almost my court no say almost into swore.
Okay. So at this point, my court who say on 80 million or almost pentiswo. How many days do they have to file that?
Okay. So at this point, the next thing that's going to happen is that there's going to be a paper. A judgment. I just say court reading seal better so.
Yeah.
That would take a few days, and then after that, I believe there's a 5-day rule that's within which you can file that motion. So a bay motion, depending on how that motion goes,
okay.
We would get a chance. We may get a chance to attempt to get our ×5 of that 18 million, or a big jam and alcohol. So depending on how that motion goes,
So for now,
yes.
18, Obintiminka said that is the end of the case. It depends.
No, it's not because hypothetically, so much to grab back 10, we still have the opportunity to go for ×5.
That is 50. Okay.
Yeah, and to call extra 50 plus. Yeah, hypothetically, so much to back 10, we can go for another ×5.
You as a Ghanaian and also a lawyer and defending a fellow lawyer who is a journalist. This has been an experience. Do you want to share something with us when it comes to these kind of defamations and how comparing our judicial system back home and in the States? I'm not forcing you to condemn any, but I'm trying to find out from you. There are so many people in Ghana, they don't really understand how the American judiciary works because we are so used to the Ghana style of judiciary whereby things go a certain way. And I would say sometimes very, very slow and sometimes you need to know something for even things to move the pace you want. In terms of how this case, how fluid it went, and comparing it to back home. I'm saying back home because I am more concerned back home, and especially when Kennedy presented a case which is the same defamation case, and he tried to use that as a basis that what he did was right. From your experience as a professional, what have you I don't want to say what have you learned. What have you do you want to share something with us before you go?
Me percent me share all the young people in Ghana. Me show them crying say Nah, the country is a young country, so I tend not to criticize too strongly. But Oman and young people need to take their rightful position in the country, because you know, my only thing is that young people see that it's wrong, or they know it's wrong. They need to stand up for their rights. The country is still young, so I would not be pointing any fingers at anybody. But me American, I'm school from high school. I lawyer, and you know, I know America very well. And for the past 7 years, I was licensed in Ghana in 2014, and I've been practicing actively for the last 7 years in Ghana. See, I know the problems that we face. I think it's a systemic problem that allows people to hide in there to sort of engage in certain conduct. Because democracy, you know, say the system, justice system, if it does not guarantee justice, and then one day, you know, there's going to be a problem. And you know, Omano, I like to direct my comments to all young politicians, those who have entered the fray. You know, about 40 and less. You know, let's not, if we see things that are not right, let's not say because you benefited from it because your party we want to say party we mono. You know, we're going to condone it. We all need to make sure that we are contributing to building a Ghana that we can all live in. And you know, I would like to end on that. The system is not perfect. There are many things that we can do to also improve it. I will not talk about the substance of some of the things, but I also think the judiciary in Ghana is burdened with a lot of work. There are certain things that exist here in the US that they don't have, that perhaps need to be implemented. Some of these judges in this country, in the US, are ably assisted by law clerks who help them lessen their burden. But like I said, the young people in Ghana, we need to look at ourselves, because I've had judges tell me, I've suggested that, and I've had judges tell me, oh no, if a young person cry, but an office on year, who want to leaky judgment at this car before the judgment is granted. So I will not be pointing fingers at, what happened in Ghana was a travesty of justice. I'll say that without mincing words.
Defamation, now Kennedy Winnie.
Absolutely, because I'm now a solid, which back to the maybe I can say, before a court can pronounce someone as a criminal, there ought to be a due process ought to be followed. And I have a publication that that's going to come out on this subject in a very near future. You know, for the courts to have called my client a criminal without giving him a criminal trial was a travesty of justice. And the court in New Jersey rightfully classified that as obiter is dicta. It can never be a criminal conviction.
So that was how the court in New Jersey, the Superior Court in New Jersey, actually addressed that particular.
Yes, because the will be criminal. The will be criminal. You can bring proof to say the person has been adjudged to be a criminal. You understand? So, the Ghana judgment by court jurors when we brought a police clearance certificate at CID headquarters through the proper normal channels, we got it. It was sealed before we brought it to court, and that was giving more credence than what the judge said about Anas being a criminal. because that is the right thing.
How do you feel as a Ghanaian lawyer, a young Ghanaian lawyer standing before a U.S. judge, making a statement like this from a court in Ghana? I feel it's quite embarrassing.
Like I said, our country is growing. We are. The U.S. is 200 and something years old. We are 60 something years old. So I like to always look at things from an optimistic standpoint. I hope that this is going to be a lesson, because Ghana is not Ghana. Just by dint of even some of your papa no cry amount for Ghana. Ufa Uber Krumwa. I remember say in the middle of the trial, Uber Bia driver and I catch him say, I moved to Ghana tourism country. Mano is young, but it's a country that we all need to protect and we need to guard zealously. And that starts from the delivery of justice, because no one should have to feel that they need to go outside the four corners of Ghana to get justice. Justice emanates from the people. And we have enough people in Ghana. About judges now, because I saw recently, judges know TV, so they are educating people about the jury system. As part of our civic responsibility, it will also go a long way, along with amending laws to allow more juror participation in different kinds of cases now.
Lawyer Evans Selassie Adeka, or somebody Esquire. So thank you very much, and I'll also say thank you to your colleagues that helped. In this case, Andrew De Gea, also Arthur Wemega Esquire, and Aday Crow. I would like to say, really appreciate your time. You've educated us and also made things very clear to Ghanaians.
I'd like to point something else. So there were a few things that I think I glossed over. I think I told you, said the threshold that we had to meet in the US was much higher than in Ghana. And in that regard, one of the allegations that was made is that you are a serial killer in terms of multiple Chinese. What was appalling, and I say video say proof. Say proof say I'll be stand no say Chinese phone. Video it was an embarrassment, because some video be say prekonayo namoya hangi wo onu say omko aboa omo hangi mamudia no sonne no
and then on be sure say
minim say no kwemuni na nka cho say no ana say but it was definitely what he said he was going to produce, and I think that really disgusted the jury, because and it's not something to accuse someone of likely.
Thank you very much for clarifying this. Ivan Selassie Adeka Esquire, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate every single minute you've shared with us here. At least, we are to rest for now. From your explanation on a case we enya ende. The response from the defendant, Kennedy Agyapong, the lawyers, so we're waiting for them to also file what they have to file. Now, I share where it goes from where we are now.
And just to clarify, any response, so omono ankane baba for times 5 no.
Yeah.
Omo the assembia attitude just say no person mo tro. Na for the sake of transparency, na obi anya time na wo yeso ye be yi ano na omo asem there judge no better so. The omo asem nya den so e be gina sa 18 na ye decide say we have some decisions to make, whether I say na kwa appeal, but the thing is appeal the difficulty is appeal US answer no bit me appeal he needs to put the full $18 million down in a bond. Answer no bit me file appeal and we and say papa no Bob Bryant I'm sure say depending on how that goes, we have the prerogative of deciding say we ever go for times 5 based on that 18 million if it stands, and I say almost so bad hypothetically, and said even 10 and I said 12 krana, we'll still decide to say say you know, Buana was or bar up with a nice offer. So be chase canana. Why pay union I'm not saying because I told you union or no Kuranadian or no so a lawyer, you know, we work on we'll entertain that and decide say okay, ABI Bijan Mu I young pesa times 5 no and I say because change now but what for times 5 no. Because there are certain other things that happen. There are certain things that also happen that will influence our decision one way or another.
Yeah. Lawyer, we will be on standby. And I know, sir,
okay.
Baby Ano, we will come back for more clarification and education. We really appreciate you very much. Evans Salasi Adeka Esquire, he has been our guest. He is one of the lawyers of Anas Aremeyaw Anas. Wachech and Senu Ejujum Emagana for Ehuno Kreno. I really want to say thank you very much to a year lawyer, Ivan Salasi, and the other lawyers or counsels that helped him, and I said, Omoba together as a team to make sure Anas has a solid or had a solid legal team backing him. No, Mr. Arthur Wemega Esquire, he was part of the council Anas lawyers. No, Andrew here is also part of Anas legal team. No.
I was going to win in Sama, a course so New Jersey court one. My own agent, Efa sa. Asemia ekoso Honorable Kennedy Agyapong ene Anas Aremeyaw Anas hui ene da edi kan abomodian so be subscribe and follow yan on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram and X edina Fred Studios Macrao dem mom ya bokagu